The Chachapoya Sarcophagi of Peru, Mysteries and Legends. High up in the mist-shrouded cloud forests of the Peruvian Andes lies one of archaeology's most fascinating mysteries, the ancient sarcophagi of the Chachapoya people. Scattered across cliff faces and rugged mountaintops, these mysterious stone boxes have captured the imaginations of explorers and archaeologists for centuries. The Chachapoya civilization flourished in the cloud forests of northeastern Peru between around 8001 for 00 AD, until it was conquered by the expanding Inca Empire. Also known as the Warriors of the Clouds, the Chachapoya constructed intricate fortified cities and elaborate mausoleums filled with mummified remains. But the greatest examples of their funerary customs are the cliff-face sarcophagi found throughout their former territory. Hewn from solid granite and limestone, these sarcophagi are anchored onto near vertical cliff faces dozens of meters off the ground. Reaching them requires expert rock climbing skills and great care. The lids are heavy stone slabs, ingeniously balanced to seal the tombs shut. Over 500 of these sarcophagi have been documented so far, though many more undoubtedly await discovery in the remote cloud forests. The Chachapoya mummified their dead rulers and nobility with intricate preparations before sealing them in the cliff tombs. The dry, high-altitude environment and protection of the sealed sarcophagi created excellent conditions for natural mummification. When the sarcophagi are opened by archaeologists today, the mummies within are often remarkably well preserved, after centuries sealed off from the outside world. These cliff tombs ensured protection from destruction after death, and seem designed to emulate the Chachapoya cliffside citadels during life. They are decorated with zigzag lightning bolt motifs, stylized diamonds, and strange aquatic figures associated with ancient Chachapoya religious beliefs. The meaning behind these mysterious carvings is not fully understood, but reflects the rich symbolic world of the Chachapoya culture. For early Spanish conquistadors and explorers venturing into the Peruvian Amazon, tales of the cliff tombs emerged from bemused and fearful native contacts. In 1686, the first European account described finding ancient sepulchres built like pitched roofs. There were bodies clothed and well preserved inside. Scientific rediscovery of the Chachapoya sarcophagi only began in the late 19th century. Since then, these graves have been a source of enduring archaeological mystery. The legends around the tombs. The remote location and inhospitable environment of the sarcophagi locations have swathed them in legend over the centuries. In local myths, they are said to be filled with lost treasures beyond imagination, their secrets jealously guarded by spirits. Many apocryphal tales tell of early expeditions coming to grief from accidents or disease after violating and looting the tombs. These stories warn that the dead do not appreciate disturbance. Curses and bad luck are said to await any who trespass and break open the burial chambers. Local people speak of strange cries and whispers emanating from the tombs at night. Glowing lights and ghostly guardians in ancient Chachapoya attire are said to arrive if anyone approaches too closely after dark. Many avoid the areas entirely to be safe. Explorers still report feeling haunted and watched when investigating the remote cliff tombs today. Conquistador legends say that tribal chiefs and shamans whispered of a hidden valley where the last untouched Chachapoya sarcophagi can be found. It is filled with unimaginable offerings and wealth, but is jealously protected by the spirits against intruders. Though many have searched, the Valley of the Tombs remains undiscovered. But legends say that one day, the right person with a righteous heart will find a way to unlock these secrets. The heritage of a vanished people. For archaeologists, the Chachapoya sarcophagi offer a direct link to an ancient civilization almost erased from history. Most of their cities and culture decayed away in the humid environment before the arrival of the Spanish. The tombs provide a rare, definitive record of this lost society. Each one found and studied offers new insight into how these mysterious cloud dwellers lived and died. But the remote cliff locations that preserved them for centuries now threatens their survival. The sarcophagi are extremely vulnerable to looters seeking artifacts and antiquities to sell on the black market. Unscrupulous dealers will even raid archaeological excavations for valuable pieces. Conservation is a constant challenge. Ethical archaeologists are playing a desperate race against time to find and protect the tombs before they are lost. Survey expeditions continue to search the rugged mountains for new sites. In 2001, an important discovery was made: a huge cliff face riddled with over 150 Chachapoya sarcophagi arrayed up and down, called the Locto Cliffs. But for each new site that is documented, countless more lie unseen and unstudied, their fates uncertain. The grand pageant Lost City in the Clouds. The pinnacle of the vanished Chachapoya civilization is the legendary grand pageant, the Lost City of the Clouds. First reported by early Spanish chroniclers, its location remained an enduring mystery for centuries. Described as a sprawling mountain stronghold dotted with strange structures, it was said to contain untold riches. Though many expeditions searched, impenetrable cloud forests defeated them all. In 2000, the grand pageant was finally definitively rediscovered by archaeologists near the high mountain settlement of Laguna de los Cindores. A sprawling complex of plazas, terraces, and buildings extend across the mountaintops. Styles of construction suggest it was built as a last refuge against the Inca onslaught, successfully defending over 1,500 meters of mountain ridges. It shows the Chachapoya determination to resist conquest. The many cliff tombs found at Laguna de los Cindores attest that the grand pageant was likely the spiritual heart of the Chachapoya culture. The remote mountaintop location preserved it intact through the centuries from looters. But also meant serious archaeological study did not begin until years after its modern rediscovery. The area remains far from any modern settlement, and the ruins can only be reached by days of arduous hiking on rugged trails. Cloud and rainforests often blanket the site, hiding its secrets. Exploring the grand pageant still requires braving thin mountain air, slippery rains, and dizzying heights along decaying ancient stairs and walls. But for archaeologists, it represents the greatest opportunity to definitively study the Chachapoya culture. Many structures, artifacts, and tombs lie unexcavated, still buried beneath centuries of overgrowth. Each year, more discoveries are made that expand knowledge of how this mysterious civilization thrived for so long in such a challenging environment. But a definitive understanding of the Chachapoya and the grand pageant still remains tantalizingly out of reach. The mummies of Laguna de los Cindores. In 1996, an astonishing find was made on a cliff face overlooking Laguna de los Cindores, a huge gallery of Chachapoya sarcophagi arrayed along the precipitous stone. Further discoveries revealed over 200 tombs decorating the imposing 4-meter-high cliff. It quickly proved to be an utterly unique funerary complex on a scale never found before. The remote and hard-to-access cliff meant the sarcophagi had escaped looting for 500 years. Archaeologists finally carefully reached and opened them to reveal magnificent finds. Over 40 near-perfect Chachapoya mummies were recovered, wrapped in intricately woven shrouds. They were adorned with jewelry, pots, and items for a rich afterlife. The dry conditions provided an exceptional level of preservation. Analysis revealed them to be primarily women and children rather than Chachapoya warriors. This and the special location overlooking the grand pageant implies they were mummified spiritual leaders and nobles. It is theorized the old and infirm were brought here to die so their souls could join their ancestors. Finding paired male and female mummies, some grasping hands, suggests couples were buried together. Radiocarbon dating has confirmed the burials occurred shortly before the Inca conquest in the mid-1400s, making them a final act of defiance. The site provides an unprecedented window into the funerary rituals, lives, and even faces of the vanished Chachapoya rulers. The mummies now reside in climate-controlled museum collections for preservation. Replicas took their place in Laguna de los Cindores to show how they were originally interred. The cliff complex remains an active research site that continues yielding fresh secrets, but the need to protect the fragile remains means only scientific access is allowed. The mummies retain an air of mystery even after their century of anonymity was ended by modern eyes. Kulip Citadel in the Clouds. Rising from a limestone ridge crust, high in the clouds of the Andes, stands one of the most breathtaking Chachapoya sites, the magnificent city of Kulip. The imposing walls, round towers, and structures of the citadel extend 600 meters along the top of the rocky precipice. Ephemeral wisps of clouds drift through the lifeless ruins today. Kulip was built around 900 AD as a defensive stronghold against invaders. In its prime, it was home to up to 5,000 people, dwelling in a dense stone metropolis. But the scale of Kulip long went unknown, as jungle overgrowth consumed the ruins, following the Chachapoya collapse. It was briefly reported by early Spanish explorers in 1686, but was then lost for centuries. Kulip was not definitively rediscovered until 1843 by renowned Peruvian archaeologist Antonio Raimondi. Even then, the sheer monumentality of the site went unrecognized due to the vegetation choking the ruins. Knowledge of Kulip gradually increased over the 20th century, but accelerated after the site was opened to tourism in the 1990s. Hiking trails and cable cars now ferry visitors high up over the forested valleys for dramatic views of the mountain stronghold emerging from the clouds. The extent of excavation and restoration is still minimal. Kulip remains cloaked in green growth that sprouts between walls and buildings. Enormous tree trunks burst through ancient stonework high overhead. The sense of being swallowed by jungle pervades the ruins, buildings only visible up close. The size and spectacular setting imbues Kulip with an atmosphere of grandeur and faded glory. Kulip is approached through narrow stone portals piercing the 12-meter-high outer walls. These lead into a long oval plaza and closed by two further circular defensive walls. Along the inside rim of these walls are arrayed over 400 circular and rectangular structures of varying sizes. These are believed to have been elite residences, religious buildings, and military structures linked by zigzagging narrow alleys. Small windows and low doorways create dark interiors, ideal for the foggy climate. The imposing mountain views from Kulip come at a cost. Vertical drops line the site, but dense growth prevents easy views out from inside. In the center lies the monumental Acropolis complex, an intricately built, two-tiered oval platform 300 meters long, 75 meters wide, and 20 meters high. This imposing dual-level plaza was surrounded by the most important civic buildings. Intricately stacked walls of precisely cut stone baffled archaeologists upon discovery. Scattered throughout Kulip are dozens of mysterious tomb towers. These are perfectly shaped circular or square towers up to 20 meters high, built as mausoleums for the elite. They contained layered funerary chambers filled with mummified remains and offerings. Many now stand open to the sky, their contents looted long ago. Current estimates say only about 10% of Kulip has been excavated so far. The major structures are now documented, but little is still known about how most residents lived. Ongoing excavations continue to reveal domestic areas between the stone lanes, with artifacts that provide insights into Chachapoya civilization. Kulip remains enigmatic, a city sized for thousands, inexplicably hidden away on a remote ridge instead of open valleys. Defensive needs explain only part of this choice. But the religious importance of the location is suggested by the concentration of ceremonial structures and tomb towers. The mountains clearly held special significance for the Chachapoya worldview. Concealed within Kulip's still mostly buried walls and buildings, their secrets await discovery. The strange world of Chachapoya rituals. The sarcophagi and mummies have revealed much about Chachapoya funerary practices, but many other aspects of their religious and cultural life still remain mysterious due to the lack of preserved writings. However, iconography and artifacts found at sites like Laguna de los Cendores provide intriguing clues. The frequent presence of jaguars, raptors, snakes, and figures holding decapitated heads have led to theories of human sacrifice and ancestor worship. The Chachapoya religion was dominated by death because of the high risks they faced in their inhospitable habitat. Many offerings seem devoted to placating dangerous forces of nature. Incorporating trophy heads into spiritual rituals and decoration was important across pre-Columbian cultures, but archaeologists speculate the Chachapoya also venerated their mummified ancestors. The cliff tombs protected them to allow spiritual communion between the living and ancient lineages. The exotic-looking animals depicted in Chachapoya art still roam their cloud forests today. It indicates these creatures held a sacred place in their belief systems. Chachapoya warriors may have adorned themselves with pelts and feathers to invoke powerful animal spirits before battle, yet severed human heads are also shown grasped in clawed animal hands. This hints at belief in shape-shifting shamans who could channel animal powers. The human and non-human world clearly intertwined in the Chachapoya supernatural realm. Also frequently depicted are watery motifs of fish, octopi, frogs, and snails along wavy lines. The Chachapoya revered lakes, rivers, and waterfalls as sacred natural sites charged with magical properties. tomb paintings show nobles making offerings to fish-like creatures and other water spirits. Yet the imagery ranges from naturalistic animals to surreal creations like floating eyeballs or skeletons with extra limbs. The shamanic iconography of transformation and vision quests links the Chachapoya culture to older pre-Inca belief systems. But much about this mysterious jungle religion still awaits explanation by archaeologists. So far, no Chachapoya temples have been found. They seem to have practiced their rituals in open sacred places. Chants and sacrifices invoke supernatural forces to prevent calamity and ensure prosperity. But the lurid imagery found suggests they feared dangerous spirits constantly surrounded them. All evidence indicates the Chachapoya tradition was deeply rooted in the unique spirits, animals, and forces held sacred in their cloud forest home. But the true meanings encoded in their intricate symbols remain cryptic. We can only interpret dimly through the vivid religious art left behind. Tayuna, Colombia's lost city. In the jungle, high in the misty mountains of northern Colombia, lies Tayuna, the famed Ciudad Perdida, or Lost City. This extensive ancient settlement sprawls across an inaccessible ridge top deep in the jungle. Left behind by the vanished Tairona culture, it was only rediscovered in 1972. The cloud forests of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta Mountains were the last refuge of the Tairona civilization against the Spanish onslaught. Here they constructed Tayuna around 800 AD as their major settlement and ceremonial center. It was built from stone terracing and connected by thousands of steps amid incredibly rugged terrain. Tayuna could only be reached by arduous trekking, allowing it to remain hidden for centuries. Even today, access is strictly controlled to protect the fragile site. Tayuna is kept purposely mysterious. Even for visitors, the remoteness creates an aura of enigma. Shrouded in mists, its structures appear like a mirage between the dark jungle foliage. Only the lithic outlines are visible of plazas, circular platforms, and dozens of stairways leading between invisible buildings. The visible stonework follows the folds of the mountain terrain in harmony. But most of the ancient city still lies buried under layers of earth and encroaching plant roots. Only a fraction of the estimated 350,050,000 structures have been excavated since rediscovery. Archaeologists believe up to 8,000 people may have lived there at its peak. Surrounding the plazas and ceremonial areas are dense suburban zones that house the majority of residents. These ordinary houses were constructed from wood and thatch, which decayed away over the centuries. But newly uncovered artifacts and foundations trace the shadowy outlines of their long-vanished occupants. Towering above Tayuna are impossibly steep ascents to the peaks of jagged rocky outcrops that jut from the jungle. These house the most sacred ritual spaces, narrow platforms, and cubby holes tucked onto dizzying precipices. Only elites and priests were allowed access to conduct esoteric spiritual ceremonies seeking the favor of primal forces. As always with the Chachapoya, ritual veneration of ancestors took on great significance. Tayuna has over 130 ceremonial mounds filled with funerary urns holding the cremated remains of the honored dead. Also recently uncovered was a hidden cave shrine filled with over 500 exemplary Tairona ceramics and goldwork offerings devoted to deified ancestors. But what still puzzles archaeologists are the many mysterious underground tunnels and chambers beneath Tayuna. These were originally believed to be aqueducts supplying the city with fresh water in such a remote location. But their intricate construction suggests a more ritual purpose. Carbon dating has now revealed the subterranean tunnels substantially predate the visible parts of Tayuna. They were clearly built by a much older, unknown culture which conceived them as a hidden, sacred complex. The Tairona later expanded upon these ancient foundations to shape their city. So, in essence, Tayuna seems to have been deliberately constructed as a physical bond between the visible and spirit worlds. The inaccessible mountaintop location linked its supernatural significance to earthly authority and power. This hidden city in the clouds unified the generations between mortal and divine realms. Though rediscovered, the ancient mystique of Tayuna remains. The endless cloud forests and mist-shrouded ruins preserve its atmosphere of awe and contemplation. But many secrets still await within its buried walls for future generations to decipher.